Hi there, welcome to our presentation. We are here to discuss the paper Daniel Bergstrasser and Dames Philippen wrote about CEO incentives and earnings management. We, Erik van Kempen, Harm Leijsen, Lotte Wilbers and Young are going to present it to you. We will be using a real-life problem to show you how to interpret the results and importance of this 2006 paper. This is Tim, current CEO of Apple. Leading the world's most valuable company goes along with one of the world's richest incentive packages. Tim has received stock rewards which could potentially exceed $500 million, depending on the stock price of course. Since stock price reflects future cash flows and earnings quality influences cash flows, we wonder, would Tim manage earnings in order to optimize his compensation plan? Bergstrasser and Philippen investigated two aspects of earnings management and executive compensation in their 2006 paper CEO Incentives and Earnings Management. First of all, they investigated if earnings are managed more often in firms where managers received higher levels of stock-based compensation. Secondly, they investigated if higher earnings management measures coincide with higher levels of insider share sales. So why is this important? Well, stock-based and option-based incentive schemes have increased in the last 15 years, but there's some evidence that this does not create value. Executive compensation plans consisting of stock-based or option-based incentives were implemented to align the upper management incentives with shareholders' interests. However, some negative effects may occur due to the use of earnings management to maximize payoff. It is important to know what those negative effects are. In order to make clear how managers are able to temporarily reduce or boost reported earnings by making use of earnings management, we will give you two short examples. First, managers are able to increase or reduce reported earnings by assuming a higher or lower rate of depreciation, or to label expenses that are not likely to generate future cash flows as investment expenditures. This paper extends the currently available literature. It is useful for firms who want to know how to optimize management incentives, and it also focuses on insider option exercises. So how did they investigate these relations? Bergstrasser and Philippen used the modified Jones model to calculate a firm's discretionary accruals as a measure of accruals-based earnings management. Furthermore, they constructed a measure for equity-based incentives by calculating the relative effect of a 1 percentage point price increase of the company's stock price relative to the total incentive and salary package, the incentive ratio. In short, what is the relative effect of a 1% increase in stock price on the total executive compensation? A higher fraction of stock-based incentives in the total package would result in a higher incentive ratio. In total, 4,671 samples were collected from Compustat and the Compustat executive compensation datasets. To answer their second research question, measures of insider sales were used. Gross and net number of shares sold by the CEO and for other senior positions, normalized by the number of shares outstanding as found in the Thomson financial dataset. Bergstrasser and Philippen found that higher levels of incentive ratio lead to higher levels of earnings management. A 1% change in share price is related to an 11 basis points increase in accruals. So the more sensitive the manager's compensation package is to change in stock price, the more they are willing to manage earnings. Furthermore, they find in years with higher levels of earnings management, larger amounts of shares are sold or more options are exercised by managers. They argue that managers would manage earnings more if they are planning to exercise options or sell shares. Bergstrasser and Philippen do not argue that these incentives destroy firm value, but they do make you aware of the dark side of equity-based incentives. It could lead to inside trading. Reports could be influenced by making use of accruals to achieve personal goals instead of shareholders' interests. So for our CEO, Tim Cook, we can apply that since Tim is highly incentivized, he is likely to manipulate or manage earnings.
Created using Powtoon.